What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So let me dig into this really quickly. So there's a lot of fighters. They just had the Hall of Fame ceremony the other day, and Floyd was inducted. Andre Ward, Roy Jones, Bernard Hopkins, a lot of people was there, and basically there's a lot of people even at the event was asked about who they think is going to win between, Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. So the majority of the people are leaning towards Bud Crawford. So a lot of people have been saying Errol Spence responds with so and so. I haven't heard Errol Spence respond with anything really, but regardless, here's the thing about it. People are using these stories so they have something to talk about on their boxing channels, and they'll come back and forth with a whole lot of he said, she said, and it doesn't make a difference what anybody thinks. They both have a job to do. It's simple. So Errol Spence really shouldn't give a shit. You can think what you want, but after I knock you out, they'll be believers then. And I'm not doing it to make them believers. I'm doing it to win. So it doesn't make a difference. The funny thing is people are using the car accident as an excuse. Ain't no way he gonna be Bud, man. That dude was in a car accident. Then he had the eye problem. Nah. You guys realize that even after both of those injuries, he came back and, like he said, hey, I may not be the same. I'm still good enough to beat all these other guys out here. So regardless, he got what he has gotten. That's one of the reasons I respect Errol as a fighter the way I do, because with all of what he went through, like I said, people was talking about Danny Garcia like he was the shit. But then after, and then people was telling me there's no way in hell he gonna beat him. Nah, man, his car flipped over, blah, blah, blah. He had to get reconstructive face surgery and all this. Right, but when he came back and basically chipped Danny Garcia up and shut him out and beat the shit out of him, you know what? Oh, Danny's overrated anyway. Oh, Danny did. Okay, excuses. He could have came back and picked any lower tier guy just to test the waters. No, he came back and picked what was one of the top 5 welterweights, in the division at that time, and he went in there and fought Danny and beat him. And excuses, when he just fought Ugas after the surgery, another guy with a title. Oh man, with Ugas this, Ugas that, excuses. So now this goes to show you when a person want to see you lose. Because after you triumph, every win, they try to find somebody else. So Terrence Crawford maybe he beats Bud. Maybe Bud beats him. Don't know. Don't care. But this fight, if and when it happens, and it should happen, may the best man win. It's as simple as that. This is what boxing needs, man. I mean, opinion. I could care less about people's opinions, man. People can think what they want to think. It's what's going to happen once I get in there. It's on me. It's not on them. So I don't think Errol Spence really even cares about what people are saying. Now, as far as him lashing out at the Roy Jones and other fighters for saying that, in defense of himself, well, okay, what's wrong with that? Let's just say even I don't know what he said to them, but even for someone to think that he's going to lose or whatever, and let's just say Errol Spence said, y'all going to feel real stupid, all of y'all, when I beat Terrence Crawford. And certain fights is like, well, seeing is believing. You have to see it before to believe certain situations. Maybe that's how they feel about Errol against Crawford. How much of that is hate versus how much of it is they just genuinely think Crawford is the better fighter. The better boxer doesn't always win. Most of it will. Most of the time, the better boxers can, but, we have to see what happens, man. And Errol Spence, I think him and Crawford both are solid fighters. But at the same time, people are really sleeping on Errol Spence. They really are. Because with all his accomplishments, and if you notice nowadays, the guy that's either unified or undisputed, they're still trying to put other fighters over them. We're seeing it with Haney. They're still trying to put Haney, lower than everybody else. They're still trying to put Jamel Charlo lower than the people who don't even have titles. Same thing. Errol Spence, did what he had to do, and now he has one more belt left. And I agree, Terrence Crawford technically is the better boxer technically. Over, but I mean, Errol Spence is not an ordinary fighter, man. Errol Spence got some. He got some skills of his own, and I think that people are just sleeping on. I know they're sleeping on it. Um, I've been listening for the past couple of weeks. You know, people have just been saying things about him like as if he just got what he has by luck or something. They clearly overlook Errol Spence. Even when you got a guy that fought both guys and they give their opinion on who they think is better, that's all good. It still doesn't change the outcome. We don't know what's going to happen, and if you are in support of this fight, you want to see this fight. I don't get caught up into, the he said, she said stuff. And, it doesn't matter. We all about boxing, man. And basically, for you to show me who's the better fighter is by going in the ring. If Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford was sitting here right next to me right now, yeah, okay. Y'all talking about you're better. Did y'all sign contracts yet? Okay. So once you sign a contract, that's when we can talk. Because I don't really want to sit here and talk to either one of you about who you think. I mean, obviously, Terrence Crawford, you think you can beat Errol. Errol is obvious you think you can beat Terrence. I don't give a shit about that. We want to talk about the fight after it's signed, sealed, and delivered. It's there. All y'all got to do is show up into the venue and fight. Then cool. Once we know that the fight's on. But we haven't even gotten anything in concrete. Okay? Even when somebody say, October, November, and a set date that they want, that doesn't mean shit. And and listen, to support that claim, Terrence Crawford himself even said, he was asked a question about when's the fight. He said, man, ain't no negotiation, nothing yet. We still trying to work things out. So that doesn't mean anything. It's concrete just because they're saying the fight should be in Las Vegas in October or November. That doesn't mean that the fight, hopefully it does happen. We'll just have to wait and see. But all this, people are just saying things now and trying to make it like is what I'm saying. You guys are just shooting the fight down. Oh man, Errol this, Errol that, because the majority is swaying one way now. Everybody want to vocalize their opinions about who they think, and this ain't even gonna be a good fight. Errol's not good enough to beat Crawford. I'm like, wow. You see how you guys are? You beg for the fight. Now, when they even start talking like it seemed like it's going to happen, now you guys start talking about the fight is not worth watching. Like, what? You casuals, man. I honestly, you casuals need to find another sport to go fuck up. Because y'all just took the sport that I love, man, and fucked it all the way up. These comments that I read, these content creators, the shit that they come out their mouth, man, it's like, so do you want the fucking fight or what? And if so, stop shitting on the fucking fight then. Like, ask me about a fight and I tell you, no, I don't give a shit about that fight. It's a shit fight. I don't want to see it. I'm honest to tell you that. You guys, we need this fight. We need this fight. Las Vegas, October. Oh shit, what's about to go down? Now all of a sudden, Errol Spence don't have a chance. Well, why the fuck would anybody want to see it then? If he doesn't have a chance. We don't need you to tell us shit. The story will be told and unfolding as they're in the ring fighting. That's what we're going to go by. That's what everybody's going to go by. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Errol Spence wins. Maybe Crawford wins. Maybe, Crawford go in there and win better than people thought he was. Maybe Errol goes in there and knocks Crawford the fuck out. Earl, who knows? That's what make you want to watch, because you don't know. So if you support the fight, man, fuck all that sissy ass fantasizing about what's going to happen. Let's just wait to see what the fuck happens, but be in support of the fight. Simple. And it's like the conversation. I don't even like talking to half of these people anymore, because it's like I'm talking to a bunch of kids. They just say shit that makes no sense. So when that time comes, then we'll cross that bridge. And in response to somebody, yeah, I heard about the David Hayes situation, but I don't talk about shit like that. I don't get into that type of stuff. I know about the Mike Tyson on the airplane shit. You notice I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about Floyd and his situations. Stuff that was going on with the baby's mom and all that kind of like. That's not boxing. That's boxers. But what we're talking about, that's not boxing. One story, one fighter where it wasn't about talking about the story of what he did. That wasn't even mentioned. Like, oh, he did this and he did that, and then no, was Adrian Broner, and it wasn't about let's talk about what we heard. No, it's sad how Adrian Broner was constantly getting himself in trouble, and the things that we talked about, he talked about it. He talked about it. David Hayes situation, we wasn't there in any of them, but we don't know what happened. We didn't even hear from David Hayes. So I don't want to speculate shit. I don't care what sources say. We don't know. We wasn't there with Floyd and his kids' mom. We don't know what happened. Hell, if you ever been in a situation where somebody have lied on you, yeah, people can make you look like you guilty with just what they're saying, and people don't know nothing about you, have all these opinions until the truth come out. Then they're like, oh shit, we was wrong. So I don't get caught up in that. So my whole thing, and the thing about it with Adrian was, look, if he put that same focus, that same energy into boxing, try to get his skills back, try to get his heart back, because every time you saw him, he's somewhere throwing money up. He was burning money, flushing money down the toilet. I bet you, yeah, he need that money now, don't he? You see what I'm saying? So all of that kind of goofy shit, immature stuff, just running around. Every time you see him, he's going to somebody's fight, coming from somebody's fight, talk a lot of shit, but then don't fight. Then when he get in there, he losing. And it's like the hunger's not there. That was the whole point of that. It wasn't about let's report the allegations. I don't do that. I don't, whoever does that, man, that's their thing. I don't do that shit. That's if it was Mike the Milkman, nobody would give a fuck. If it was Gary the gas attendant, nobody would care. Everybody would just, some motherfucker beat his chick up. Some dude got in a fight with some other dude over there. It wouldn't be no big deal, right? Unless it was something that made headlines on the news and it was on every station. But other than that, nobody cares. So, they're humans. There's nobody exempt from human error. Nobody. So I don't get caught up in all that type of stuff. So no, I'm not going to talk about that shit on this channel. I heard about it, and that's not stuff I get into. That's soap opera stuff, and that's personal stuff. The human being, we're all human beings, man. That's why I don't cover shit like that. I let other people can do what they want to do. But nah, that's not, like I said, that's not boxing news. That's just boxers who are living their life. Something happened, and then some of it gets put on the internet, whatever. So I'm not even going to, get into that. But yeah. So anyway, Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. It's a fight that needs to happen. And in all honesty, like I don't care about all of the fight hype and the storyline build up. I just know that when it comes to it, when they get in that ring, these are two guys that have a respect for each other, but I don't see either guy trying to hold back. And I believe, in all honesty, Terrence Crawford is going to do what Terrence Crawford does. I think for Errol, the fact that people talking all this shit, it might light a fire under his ass to have him. To me, let me say this. I think Terrence Crawford has to be Terrence Crawford, doing what we always see him do. I think for Errol Spence, how he approached the fight and how he's able to adjust throughout the fight by doing what he needs to do. I think that's going to be the deciding. Like that's going to be the difference in the fight. Meaning, look, Terrence Crawford has a high boxing IQ. He's a boxer. He's not going to stand up here and brawl for no reason unless he feel he can beat you to the punch. He can telegraph your shots, and either he has you where you're tired and your shots just don't feel that, that you lost that sting on your punch. Otherwise, he's a very smart fighter. Errol Spence, basically, he likes to knock people out. But Errol Spence can get impatient and go for one big shot at times and make the fight harder for himself, because instead of boxing and mixing his shit up, being that boxer puncher that he is, he likes to just stand there and he'll leave himself, he kind of leave himself open a lot of times at trying to get a shot in, and he gets careless on defense at times. So that's what I mean about how he approached the fight and how he's able to adjust throughout the fight. Because Terrence Crawford, from round 1 to round 12, he's focused on boxing and doing what he has to do to get the advantage in the fight. Whereas with Errol Spence, it's more like he's more mistake prone than Terrence Crawford is. But the dude can punch. And he looked strong in his last fight. He didn't look that fast, though. I didn't like that. No, I'm like, you know, him and Ugas both looked kind of like, I've seen Errol look faster. What I've always looked at with Errol is said, if Errol Spence would just add combination punching to his arsenal, that motherfucker would be that much more deadly. Because Errol likes to throw like one punch at a time. And his combinations, he don't pop, pop, pop. He's more like pop, 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 and that kind of shit. You give Terrence Crawford, you make it easy for him to see the shots coming. So that's what I mean by that. So anyway, it's a fight I want to see. Hopefully it happens. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch you on the next video.